Hello and welcome. My name is Jeremy Leffler and I work in the policy office at the National Science Foundation, and it's my pleasure to welcome you to our final day of the Fall 2021 NSF Virtual Grants Conference and today's session covering the NSF Directorate for Engineering. This session will be presented by Carole Reed, a program director in the Chemical, Bioengineering, Environmental, and Transport Systems, or CBET division, and she'll be joined in the Q&A by her colleague, Ying, also a program director in the CBET division.
Hello, my name is Carole Reed. I'm a program officer in CBET, which is a division in the NSF Directorate for Engineering. I'm going to be talking to you about some of the programs that we have today for you all, the research community. Next slide. So you are at the heart, really, of NSF's mission. And NSF and NSF's Engineering Directorate has a large number of varied programs from different scale, breadth, career stage, and in the innovation cycle to support your research programs. And so we in the Engineering Directorate support research, education, and infrastructure. And for the bulk of it, it's fundamental research, and that can be both curiosity driven and also use inspired. Next slide. So first of all, I'm going to be talking about some opportunities across the foundation, across NSF, that engineering participates in. Next slide. First of all is a group of programs under the umbrella called 10 Big Ideas. And these are programs that are both topically driven and also for capacity building and infrastructure building that occur with the participation across the foundation. And so we have topic programs such as the future of work at the human technology frontier, navigating the new Arctic, the quantum leap, leading the next quantum revolution, understanding the rules of life and predicting phenotype, windows on the universe, the era of multi-messenger astrophysics. And then we also have infrastructure programs such as the Mid-Scale Research Infrastructure Program, NSF 2026, growing convergent research at NSF. And NSF includes, which enhances STEM through diversity and inclusion. Next slide. I'll just spotlight one of these programs, which is Mid-Scale Infrastructure. This has two main thrusts. And again, this provides research capability and infrastructure in the range between major research instrumentation and also major facility thresholds. And so there's two main competitions that are really distinguished by the dollar value and the scale of the project. And so we have the R1 competition, which is for capabilities that of cost between 6 and 20 million and up to 6 million for design. And then we have the other track of the R2, which captures more significant investments between 20 million and 100 million. And a solicitation is planned for FY22 pending appropriations. Next slide. Another example under the 10 ideas is this building convergence research. And one of the programs is the NSF Convergence Accelerator. This is a program that uses use-inspired convergent research from concept to deliverables in the areas of national importance. The program releases a Dear Colleague letter yearly and a solicitation on specific topics. And so as an example, some of the topics in our last fiscal year 21 were networked blue economy and trust and authenticity in communication systems. Next slide. In general, we have opportunities for multidisciplinary engineering research in a wide range of emerging technologies. And here I'm going to just highlight some of the topics that align with the Office of Science and Technology Policy R&D priorities and also within the NSF budget request. And so we have advanced manufacturing, advanced wireless, and artificial intelligence. So some examples that support some of these topics are, for example, we've had this future manufacturing program that invests in bio, cyber, and eco manufacturing. We've had programs called Resilient and Intelligent Next-G Systems, RINGs, and Spectrum and Wireless Innovation enabled by Future Technologies, SWIFT. These are cross-NSF programs that are focusing on advanced wireless and artificial intelligence, for example. We also have new AI research institutes that have been funded in cooperation with NSF and other federal agencies. Next slide. In addition, some other emerging industries that are the focus of investments by NSF and NSF engineering are biotechnology, quantum science and engineering, and semiconductors and microelectronics. And so we have opportunities for multidisciplinary engineering research in these, such as understanding and harnessing biological processes, quantum interconnects, and challenges in semiconductor innovation and manufacturing ecosystems. Next slide. In addition, we have new directions to support understanding research in climate change and clean energy. And so again, these are multidisciplinary engineering research and with an emphasis on equity impacts in addition. So we're going to be looking at adaptation and mitigation research, clean energy and renewable energy technologies and infrastructure, disaster-related research, and sustainable systems for clean water, clean transit, and affordable housing and other infrastructure. Next slide, please. NSF has also had significant research investments to understand the impacts and the transmission of COVID-19. So for example, in FY20, the Engineering Directorate made over 300 awards for COVID-19 related research. And here's some highlights. For example, there is a small company, Lucira Health, in collaboration with UC Berkeley, created the first FDA-approved at-home COVID-19 test. Researchers at Princeton University, Dr. Howard Stone, and Dr. Mike Kinzel at the University of Central Florida funded research to really understand transmission in an indoor environment. And so this was also to understand how the virus is transmitted through the air. Next slide. Now I'm going to talk about some of the opportunities within the Engineering Directorate. Next slide. First of all, I want to review funding mechanisms that NSF uses for its investments. So in engineering, most of the investments are through these 4 points, through the core program or unsolicited proposals, through special topic solicitations, through workshops and conferences, and through Dear Colleague letters. So the core programs are the home of fundamental research in a wide range of disciplinary topics across the engineering directorate. These are typically 2 to 4 years, and they involve either individual investigators or small teams. Solicitations are projects that are usually either similar in size for an unsolicited or slightly larger. They might involve multiple divisions or directorates, and usually they have special requirements, whether it's special research topics or an educational call. They can also be for research infrastructure and instrumentation, and for larger efforts such as for centers and networks. Workshops are done typically to identify future research opportunities and form teams and build research and education capacity. Then we have Dear Colleague letters that alert the community either to special opportunities such as supplements for existing awards or for special topic emphases within current programs. Next slide. Unsolicited proposals to engineering, these are to the core programs. Engineering does not have a deadline for the core programs. That means that you can submit your proposal to a core program at any time during the year. This allows the PI to think more creatively about your proposed work, to build those strong collaborations that might be needed to conduct the project, to provide time to communicate with program directors on the program's emphases and review processes, and also to submit the proposal when it's ready to submit, to carefully prepare your proposal. Next slide. I'll just go over some of the engineering core programs. But first, one organizational slide. And this is really to tell you kind of the organization. Like most of NSF, engineering is organized by discipline. And so under our assistant director, Susan Margolis, we have 5 divisions. The 3 middle divisions are our core divisions. CBET, which is chemical, bioengineering, environmental, and transport systems. That's my home. Then we have CMMI, civil, mechanical, and manufacturing innovation. And then we have ECCS, which is electrical, communications, and cyber systems. Then we have the Engineering, Education, and Centers program that you'll find a lot of the workforce development, engineering, education, research, and the centers under that division. And then we have Industrial Innovation and Partnerships, where you'll find the SBIR program and also other translational research programs. Next slide. So I'm just going to briefly cover these discipline divisions, but I do want to highlight that you submit your proposal to a core program. And so right here under CBET, I have the clusters that we have: chemical process systems, engineering, biology, and health, and environmental engineering, sustainability, and transport phenomena. But I do want to emphasize that you submit your proposal to a program. So for example, CBET has 16 core programs under these 4 organizing clusters. And so this gives you a hint on kind of the first pass of where your research idea might fit. But again, it's going to take reading what we call program descriptions and talking with program officers. That process is the process that you need to take to find your core program research home. Next slide. CMMI also has a number of clusters, and this is mainly what I'm showing here is their clusters, and under their clusters, it constitutes approximately 11 programs. So we have advanced manufacturing, dynamics, control, and cognition, mechanics and engineering materials, engineering for civil infrastructures, and operations and design. And so within these clusters, then you'll find further defined discipline programs, and also the accompanying program descriptions, where you can read what the program is, and also the contact information to find the program director that aligns with that program to answer your questions about that program. The next slide is ECCS. And so they have 3 main cluster areas that cover nano, micro, and scales for device research, component technologies for energy power controls, networks, and communications, computation, and sensing applications. And so again, under their 3 main clusters, you'll find program descriptions and also program director contact information for you to look at and see how that aligns with your research idea. Next slide, please. In the Division of Engineering, Education, and Centers, we find some of our bigger programs. So for example, under the umbrella of broadening participation in engineering, we have broadening participation in engineering research. We also have workforce development programs, such as the REU and RET site programs. We have centers and networks. We have the ERC program, the Engineering Research Center program, and also the Network for Computational Nanotechnology Networks as well. And we also have Engineering Education Research, which is a core program. Next slide, please. Under IIP, Industrial Innovation and Partnerships, we have translational and use-inspired research innovation. So you'll find the Foundation's SBIR, STTR program under this division in engineering. And then you'll also find translational programs such as Partnerships for Innovation and the Industrial University Cooperative Research Centers programs, IU CRC, and also our I-Corps program and intern program. Next slide, please. Now I'm going to cover some of the directorate level solicitations that the engineering directorate is currently involved in. Next slide. So first we're going to talk about really in the mid-size. These are typically interdisciplinary and involve engineering research. And we have, for examples, Ascent, addressing system challenges through engineering teams. This is run by the ECCS division, and it answers challenges associated with complex systems and networks that are only achievable by interdisciplinary research team research. In my division, we have what we call ECO-CBET, which is environmental convergent opportunities in CBET. And this really tries to address environmental engineering and sustainability problems and issues by developing foundational knowledge of the underlying processes and mechanisms. Our CMMI division has what we call LEAP High, Leading Engineering for America's Prosperity, Health, and Infrastructure. And this addresses urgent challenges through leadership in the engineering research community. And we also have Emerging Frontiers in Research and Innovation, EFRI. So next slide. So I'll talk a little bit more about EFRI. This is an engineering-wide program that also can involve other directorates within NSF as well as other agencies. And we have two topics that have just been announced for this year. The first one is brain-inspired dynamics for engineering energy-efficient circuits and artificial intelligence, and then engineering living systems. And so the brain-inspired dynamics topic aims to understand and apply dynamical neuroscience to leverage the unique features of biological learning and decision-making for AI systems. Engineering living systems aims to leverage the capacities of living cells and organisms to design, fabricate, manufacture, and model engineering living systems. And so this is one solicitation that is active now. And so definitely Google EFRI and engineering, and you'll find the solicitation with the complete description of these two topics. Next slide. I hinted at future manufacturing. This is a new solicitation. We've done it 2 years now for manufacturing that either does not exist today or exists at only small scales that is not viable. And so we've been doing this solicitation to address fundamental research that enables biomanufacturing, cyber manufacturing, and eco manufacturing. And typically we have been doing 2 tracks that have seed grants and then larger research grants for convergent research. Next slide. So another type of investment that we have in engineering are through interdisciplinary centers, and I'll highlight 2 of those, the ERCs, the Engineering Research Center, and the IU CRCs, the Industry University Cooperative Research Centers. The Engineering Research Center program is on its 4th generation of the program, and the competition for ERCs for fiscal year 22 that will start next week is underway. And the ERC conducts convergent research that has strong societal impact. And these are team-based projects. They address engineering, workforce development, convergent team-based research, a culture of diversity and inclusion, and a value creation within an innovation ecosystem. So it really has these 4 pillars that undermine this convergent research topic. And here I've given you a couple of recently awarded ERCs that were awarded in FY20. Next slide, please. So wherever you are in your career, whether you're an undergraduate, graduate student, faculty, or postdoc, there is support along your career path. And we'll now talk about some examples that NSF has. Next slide. For students, we have support for undergraduates through the REU, Research Experience for Undergraduates. That's through both site grants and also supplements. We have also Research Experiences Mentoring Program, REM, through the EFRI and the Engineering Research Center program. We have a Dear Colleague letter for support for student design efforts, and this is also a supplement. Engineering also participates in the Graduate Research Fellowships program. And then we have supplementary training such as START, which is for skills training in advanced research and technology, and also Intern, which is non-academic research internships for graduate students. A number of these type efforts are supplements to existing grants. And then there's also, as I said, some site programs such as the REU and RET, Research Experiences for Teachers. Next slide, please. For early career, we have a new program of the Engineering Postdoctoral Fellowship Program, eFellows, and also the Innovative Postdoctoral Entrepreneurial Research Fellowship Program. These are both funded by engineering and also conducted through the American Society for Engineering Education. And so please look at these type of websites for these types of support for early careers, postdoctoral opportunities. Next slide. For early career faculty, we have in the Engineering Directorate a new effort called Engineering Research Initiation. And this supports new investigators that have not obtained federal funding. And it's really targeted for those researchers from institutions that are not affiliated with very high research activities from the Carnegie classification, non-R1 institutions. Engineering also participates in the foundation-wide faculty early development program career. Next slide, please. For faculty in middle career, we also have opportunities. We have BRIGHT, which is boosting research ideas for transformative and equitable advances in engineering. This is a program in our CMMI division that enables researchers to forge new directions, kind of to pivot and establish new research directions. Engineering also participates in the foundation-wide mid-career advancement, and that has similar aims to support middle career faculty to enhance their research programs through new partnerships and new advances, again, of opportunity to pivot in their research program. NSF also supports faculty throughout their careers, such as via career life balance supplements. And CBET also has a program of reentry to active research program for those faculty who had active research programs, but had an event that caused a hiatus from research. And this is a program to get back into active research. Next slide, please. We'll now cover engineering infrastructure networks. Next slide, please. We talked about some programs previously, such as the mid-scale infrastructure for, and here are some additional opportunities through engineering. We have the Natural Hazards Engineering Research Infrastructure Program, that's through our CMMI division. We have the National Nanotechnology Coordinated Infrastructure, NNCI, and the Network for Computational Nanotechnology. All these three programs represent infrastructure that is open to all, the whole research community of these types of infrastructure to aid in your research program. Next slide, please. Engineering also participates in Includes, which is one of the NSF 10 Big Ideas. And this is really to enhance US leadership in science and engineering by developing STEM talent from all sectors of our society. And so Includes has established a national network that helps form cross-sector partnerships and disseminates needed resources and enhances the capacity to create educational and career opportunities for underrepresented communities. And so I've included the website for the Includes Network. And so this is one vehicle to really learn and share best practices for broadening participation and also strengthen your capacity in areas such as strategy, measurement, communication, and program sustainability. Next slide, please. Additional new program founded recently from engineering is ERVA, Engineering Research Visioning Alliance. This is an organization that was established to serve the engineering research community, and it will help identify and develop bold and societal impact new engineering research directions. And so, again, it's a community-based program, and we've given the website, irvacommunity.org. And this allows you to sign up, and so you get involved in the surveys and the workshops and the thought papers that would result from this visioning group. Next slide. So we've covered a broad range of research opportunities. So how do you get started? So let's go, next slide. We really encourage you to be bold, to be high risk, to really propose work that advances your field and not have incremental improvements. And of course, have very impactful and broad societal impacts. When you're forming your projects, and I use the word project as distinguished from all the work that you do in your research program, be sure to ask for the resources that you need to conduct your work. So for example, livable graduate research wage, funding for summer salary, the requisite equipment funding, and duration of funding to complete your project. Next slide. We consider all projects to address broadening participation. We have specific programs to perform research, such as the Broadening Participation in Engineering program and Disability and Rehabilitation Engineering. Broadening participation can be accomplished through training and mentoring students, postdocs, and veterans. We encourage career life balance and varied paths, and learn from your colleagues, and join and build a community that helps broaden participation. Next slide. When you're putting together your proposal, one theme that I like to stress to PIs I talk to is the importance of talking to program directors or program managers or program officers. We kind of have these varied titles who run all the programs that we're talking to. For example, solicitations will also always have a list of contacts, and those are the people that you contact for information about that special solicitation. We've been talking about core programs, and core programs can either be varied from one program officer to a team of them, and we'll have all our contact information on that. And we're a resource for you. But before you contact us, there is some legwork that you need to do to help form your research idea. First is, has it been funded before? And so NSF has searching for awards. So you can find A, does my research idea, is it covered by NSF? And then B, has someone else already done it and been funded for it? And so here we show some search capability that we have on our website. Next slide. You can do it by keyword, by investigator, by institution. And this kind of goes into a little bit, kind of showing you the various boxes that you can fill out to find what kind of awards have been recently done. And these are both active awards, meaning they're still going on, and also grants that have already been retired. Next slide. So what's not mentioned from this search is that you'll get abstracts. And so you can read an abstract of the award and also the PI and their institution on what was this project or what is this project. So as I said, for proposals, especially for core programs, it's really suggested, not required, to send a project summary. This is a one-page, a white paper, to a program manager or a program director, same thing, to get their input on two things: program fit, and also whether that type of research is covered under that program. The best way to learn about programs, and also the best way to learn about putting together a better NSF proposal, is to serve as a panelist and or a ad hoc reviewer. And again, always read the solicitation for any specific objectives, and for the core programs, read the program description so you understand the kinds of topics that are covered. And in the end, you're always writing to the reviewers and to address the project's intellectual merit and broader impacts in all NSF investments. And for special solicitations, they might have more additional criteria. Next slide. After you submit your proposal, it's really out of your hands. And so the general flow of a proposal is that it will go into external review. The panelists or the reviewers provide feedback on the project's intellectual merit and broader impacts and any solicitation specific criteria. The program manager or program director takes this information as guidance and then recommends awards, and then the division director concurs, and the Division of Grants and Awards makes the grant to the university. After the review, do great work and document that in annual and final reports and publications. And if declined, really read your reviews and maybe set up a call with the program officer to understand the review environment and any other feedback. And then if you can submit previously declined proposals. For engineering, just as an aside, it's 1 year from the submission date. Next slide. I kind of mentioned this again, but we'll say this again. It's really encouraged to become a reviewer. NSF has reviewing opportunities throughout the year, as does engineering. And it really is the best way to really figure out both the merit review process, who you're writing for. You're writing for the reviewers, how reviewers think, and how to kind of craft those key messages of intellectual merit and broader impacts. And also it's opportunity to network. And also overall, it's a service to your research community. And to do this, reach out to program directors or program managers. And one good way is by email, and include your NSF 2-page bio sketch. And in the email, kind of put keywords on your expertise topics. And you'll find that your expertise typically applies to more than one research core program. And so you could possibly review for multiple programs, time allowing, of course. Next slide. That's all I have. We want you to keep in touch and various methods to do so. And then right now, I invite you to stay on, and my colleague Ying and I will be happy to answer your questions live. Thank you very much for your participation and time, and to your service to NSF. Thank you.
Thank you and welcome back. And I think what we'll do now, I see that a number of questions have been answered in the Q&A while the presentation was going on. And what I'd like to do is begin to go through some of these questions that might need a little bit more explanation than we can give while just typing out answers. And so the first question, Carole and Ying, is asking about the new interests such as sustainable housing. Are those solicited? Or so those be in response to a solicitation? or these types of areas that are simply unsolicited proposals that people would submit to core programs. And if we need more information from the questioner, we can ask that person to send in additional information.
I think we might need some clarifications, but I think in general, I'll take my stab at it. I think it's probably both. There are in the core programs of engineering, there may be programs that might cover some of the issues with sustainable housing. I know in my particular division, environmental sustainability sometimes touches upon that. And I think there might be some programs in our CMMI, Civil, Mechanical, and Manufacturing Innovation division. So I think it's for the core programs, I think this is a general theme we want to get forward of. Really, don't be shy, contact your program director, read the program descriptions. And if you think that description kind of aligns with your general research idea, it's really recommended, not required, to kind of contact us by email and get some, and then we can give you some feedback on your idea and program fit. And for solicitations, usually cover, in general, larger projects than is typically found in the core programs, and usually they're more targeted. So I think it's staying signed on to some of the NSF releases when these special topics solicitations come through. Read the solicitation to see if it aligns with your idea.
Okay, the next question is asking about IIP programs being moved to the new proposed Technology, Innovation, and Partnerships Directorate. And I'll take a quick stab at this. So as part of the President's fiscal year 2022 budget for the National Science Foundation, there is a proposed creation of a new directorate, the Technology, Innovation, and Partnerships Directorate, or TIP. And if you look at the fiscal year 2022 budget request, and I'll drop the link to that in a moment into the chat for everyone, you'll see that budget requests that the Partnerships for Innovation program, PFI, the I-Core program, the Small Business Innovation Research, and the Small Business Technology Transfer programs, those will be moved from engineering to TIP. And then TIP will also participate in NSF-wide investments. And some of those investments include advanced manufacturing, artificial intelligence, and clean energy technology. But again, that's a few of the investments that the TIP Directorate would be participating in. And you can read a lot more detail about this proposed directorate and the TIP investments in the budget request. And I will drop that link into the chat in a moment. I don't know, Carole and Ying, if there was anything else you wanted to add about that.
No.
Nope. Okay. We'll move on. The next question is asking about the REU program and how many years can we plan for an REU and what can we budget for a research experiences for undergraduate program?
So I'll just take a first thing just to distinguish. There's two types of REUs. There's the REU site, which is a solicitation where a PI or group of PIs applies under the REU site, SITE, solicitation to have a REU program at your institution. And so those are bigger grants, and usually they're topically, and in engineering, I think the REU program is executed under the EEC division, Engineering Education and Centers division. You can find out about that. And then if you have an NSF grant, you could ask your program director for an REU supplement. And so this is typically for a single student to conduct summer research at your institution. And so I think there's two things, along with the general theme of talking to your program director who holds your grant on how they handle REU supplements. It does vary across the foundation and probably also within engineering. So this is definitely a, don't be shy, ask your program director on this. And also if you're putting together a new proposal for example, for a core program, again, it's talking to the program director on typical size projects, what's all involved, because you could also include the budget for a student in your actual budget. But again, I think a general theme is the program officers kind of run their programs in various ways to really meet the needs of their respective communities.
Okay.
Ying, do you have any additional insights from your perspective?
Thank you. I'm kind of busy looking at the questions. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, another question is, how does NSF characterize small to mid-scale equipment based on dollar amount or as a proportion to the whole project budget?
I think, again, there's different opportunities. Equipment of a certain size might be actually included in your budget of your maybe core project proposal. Again, talk to your program director on typical what is kind of expected or endured or kind of from the program officer's viewpoint. We also have special solicitations for more capital items. There's the mid-scale infrastructure solicitation that has 2 tracks of really defined by total project size. And then there's also the in-between one. It's escaping me. What is it? Is it?
Yeah, so I'm just checking the.
It's confusing, but it's usually defined by the size of the equipment.
Right.
Yeah.
So, sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead.
So the mid-scale implementation is from 6 million to 20 million, and the design is a minimum of 600,000 to 6 million. I think so the mid-scale has 2 tracks, and then there is MRI, which is major research instrumentation. That's a smaller than mid-scale.
Okay. Anything else to add there? I'll move on to the next question. Let's see. This is asking about whether textile engineering technology related projects are supported by NSF.
Well, I think this really depends if it's related to materials, novel materials, or even related to, for example, wearable electronics. It really depends on the specific research area. I think I would encourage the prospective PI to send a 1-page, project summary to the possible associated program managers, and the program manager, program director will help to find the appropriate home for that concept.
Okay, the next question is related to the career program, asking if are tenure track associate professors available or eligible, I should say, to submit proposals for a career award.
The answer is no. It's associate professor tenured or associate professor non-tenured. Both of those are not eligible for career.
Okay, and I'm putting into the chat a link to the career solicitation, which has all of the eligibility requirements very clearly laid out in the solicitation. Let's see. So another one related to career, do primarily undergraduate institution assistant professors have are they eligible for career awards?
Certainly, yes. If your institution is eligible for NSF funds and your position has both research and educational components, yes, you are, and you're untenured, or your assistant professor tenure track or equivalent. Yes, you are eligible to apply to the career program. I think along with the message for core programs, and this applies pretty much to every grant that NSF gives, I think it's really encouraged to talk to your program director or the program director of the programs that you're thinking of to see the types of projects. So yes, we do fund PUIs for career. They are eligible. And yeah, I'll just stop there.
Okay. This is a question about the engineering research centers. The person is writing that these appear not to be available at the moment, but are there future solicitations planned for ERCs? We're having some audio difficulties.
Well, I have some background noise.
Okay.
I'll just say yes. ERCs are in general. They run their solicitations in general every other year, and so I know they're in the middle of a review cycle for the next class. I think they just recently announced a most recent class, so their solicitations in general run every other year.
Okay, and then another, this is a question about, I guess this is the engineering research initiation solicitation. Are tenured associate professors eligible for that? And when can we expect a solicitation for fiscal year 22 for that program? I know that I'm looking now and I see that the deadline for that program was this past June.
Right.
And it doesn't appear to have recurring deadlines. So I guess that's a solicitation that would have to come out again.
Yeah, yes, a new solicitation would have to be issued, and we are planning to issue another solicitation. This past year was the first time we did it. I don't recall the exact eligibility, so I would definitely refer to the past one for ideas. But it was really tied to if you had not received federal funding. And it also had an institution limitation. It was targeted to non-R1 institutions.
Okay. So another career-related question. Is there anything equivalent for non-tenure track faculty equivalent to the career at program?
I'm not sure if I understand the question. For the career program, again, the solicitation is NSF 20-525. It is for assistant professor tenure track, and then also tenure track equivalent. And so NSF strictly doesn't determine eligibility. It's really determined by the institution. And so if you are non-tenured and you have a position that would be in place for 5 years of the grant and have both an educational and research responsibility, you may be eligible. And eligibility is really determined, is really certified by the institution in a departmental letter, which is part of the solicitation. And that really says that you're the institution is saying yes, that you are eligible for the solicitation given the criteria.
Okay, I'm not seeing any more open questions. So I want to thank Carole and Ying for joining us today. And I want to thank all of you for attending, whether it was this session or multiple sessions of the Grants Conference. Thank you for coming and participating and asking questions. Have a great evening and weekend, and be well, everyone. Thank you very much. Take care.